Welcome back to Road Gang Radio. Join Jimmy Mack and Lindsay Lawler's Gang of the Airwaves by subscribing to Radio Nemo on YouTube.
We celebrate all kinds.
Make it official. After all, if you're listening, you're already in the gang. The Road Gang.
What kind was that, Jimmy Mack?
Showtime.
I said what kind?
Oh, all kinds, both
All
kinds. I think
kinds.
it's time. What time is that? It's Showtime. It's always
Showtime.
Always love our calls and our text messages from Showtimes. Get in the gang, guys. Part of being a member of the Road Gang means being a part of 50-plus years of trucking radio legacy and experience. Legacy and experience are very much on the minds of our next two guests. This is really groovy, by the way, guys. Our friends from the ATHS have a segment that we've come up with called Miles Back. This is a father-daughter duo who are keeping international history alive. George and Shelby Kirkham join us this morning. We're talking about Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. The dealer principal, Southland International Trucks, is who George is, celebrating 40 years in business, a lifelong gearhead. He's got 19 full-frame frame-off restorations as part of the Kirkham International Motor Truck Collection. Come on, guys. He collaborates with international corporate historians to help preserve the brand's history. He is an ATHS Life Member and a recipient of the 2024 ATHS Museum Award. Shelby is the Assistant General Manager over there in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. Southland International Trucks, LTD. 14 years, by the way, with the dealership. She's a recent graduate of the American Truck Dealers Academy. Began restoring trucks with her dad at age 9. What have you done with your life, folks? Completed her own restorations at 15 with her dad, working to keep history alive by sharing history on their antique international website. Guys, go to oldinternationaltrucks.com. Once again, ATH lifetime member and board member at large. She's the first female board member in the last decade. It is my pleasure to welcome George and Shelby. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. George, we'll start with you, and then we'll just go back and forth for the sake of this not turning into a Howard Hawks film. I promise I will use your names when I ask a question. So, George, tell us a little bit about, about your own background, about the 40 years in business. Give us a bit of an origin story for George and Southland International Trucks.
Well, my father was a zone manager for International Truck in southern Alberta here for 39 and a half years. And so I've been brought up around it, started selling trucks when I was about 20 years old for a local dealer. And they closed up and we started our own business up in February of 1985. And just, we started with nothing and just kept on working, kept on growing it. So it's been a lot of fun.
It's really strange. We're kind of in this moment too over here in this new studio where we started with a bare room, and little by little, Madison, myself, Phone Master Dre, Dave, and I, along with Brad Bentley, one day you kind of look around and you go, wait a minute, how did all this stuff get in this room? Wait a minute, how do I have new buildings? Wait a minute, how is this all kind of coming to pass? But you just kind of it's the story of trucking. It's the story of stick-to-itness. You guys have an interesting kind of situation here, Shelby, because not only are you living history, you are actually cataloging it as it has happened. And this is going to tell me if you can follow the question here. But I'm kind of curious: do you have two hats on when you're doing the restoration work, when you're doing the day-to-day work? Do you have the hat on of do the work that's right in front of you, but at the same time having an awareness of all the history that has gone both into the restorations and the day-to-day kind of running of a business?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of nice to get out of the office and work on the old trucks. We haven't done a restoration in a little while, so but working over in the shop with the old trucks and things like that, it kind of gets your mind off the business and stuff like that. But, while we're working in the business, we're actively preserving history as well. So it's kind of two things at once, but one's the fun part and one's the work part, but both are fun and both are work. So.
Well, by the way, that's Picasso's great adage, George, that if you find that you doing what you love for a living, you're not actually working. You're just doing what you love and being able to collect off of it. I want you to talk. You talk about the business background here, George, but talk to us about the urge to restore, about what it means to look at something that is not what it was and to kind of make it what it was and create something new at the same time.
You have to be a bit of a visionary. you have to be able to look at some old rusty piece of junk and picture it as, what the completed project's going to be, because you have to have a goal in your head. And it's all, you're playing mind games with yourself, basically, to keep it going and keep working at it. Because it's a lot of work. I mean, these things are not, lazy man's sport. They're a lot of work, and it's, a fair amount of work once they're done, too. We have a shop with 60 trucks in it, and we share with a lot of people. And, we got an open house coming up a week from now, or 2 weeks from now, and we'll have hundreds of people through there, and everybody enjoys seeing them. So it's if you can put a smile on people's faces that don't know you, they come in and look around. That's pretty good too. So
this is interesting, George, because it just occurs to me. You talk about the idea of being a visionary. So you could actually look at something that is in need of restoration. You have to be able to see what it used to look like. And even if you have a picture of what it used to look like, you have to be able to see what it's going to look like in reality. Even if you know every single part that is necessary to get it, even if you were able to look at it and say, like, okay, just on first glance, I know everything that is needed to kind of restore this thing. It's not just a matter of going online and finding those parts. It's not just that simple. You actually also have to kind of understand timelines in regards to reconstructing this stuff, because finding everything isn't just a keystroke away, is it?
Well, it's certainly not. I mean, we do buy a lot of stuff online, but we also sell restoration parts all the way back to 1934. And we ship them all over the world. So it's not just us doing restorations. We're helping a lot of other people see those dreams come true as well.
Shelby, let me kind of follow up the question to George with a question to you like that. So you have somebody that comes to you and they say, "Man, I'm trying to make my visionary idea of what should become a reality." What is that experience like from a customer service standpoint? How do you kind of onboard somebody from the very experienced to the first timer of really getting the sense of how to go about doing this? I mean, like I said, the onboarding process for getting a new customer up to speed must be very kind of unique for you guys, correct?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, we've got 3 antique salespeople that's all they do for us on our oldinternationaltrucks.com website, and they field calls all day long. And, it comes with a range. Customers come in and they don't even know what model they own, to customers that are, almost complete their project and are almost done. So it ranges, but, we direct them to our website so that they can look at other models that are similar to theirs and give them an idea of what we've done with our trucks that we've restored, and give them, a vision of what the truck could have looked like. So lots of the times you guys are coming in pretty inexperienced, or, don't know what it could have looked like in its heyday. So we, with our preserving of history and stuff like that, with all the old photos that we keep and ads, we show them those and kind of give them an idea of where they want to go, and then just help them out getting all the parts that they need to get there.
It's such an interesting thing, too, because, the internet, George, opens up all kinds of great possibilities. And Shelby kind of did a really good job of kind of explaining. We go from people who are just getting started to people who actually, it's almost like, and they still have them all over the country. I still go to one, actually, these hobby shops, where you go in there and people build models of things, and they have Napoleonic war game soldiers and all that kind of stuff. This is almost like a version of that on steroids, where you are having to be an expert dealing with both at the same time first-timers who are just getting, acclimated or have a passion for it that they haven't exercised, right down to people who might even not argue with you, but have spirited discussions about what is necessary to make it happen. If you guys head over to oldinternationaltrucks.com, I'm telling this to the listeners right now, there is a really in-depth kind of laying out of this. And I'll start with you, George, and pivot to Shelby here, because in many ways, this website is literally could be featured on the ATHS website. There are pages within pages here, links within links that kind of take us to like what things can look like, specs, models, drawings, concept stuff. Can you talk a little bit about putting that website together and how that process, it strikes me that this website is never finished, is it? You're constantly adding and constantly figuring stuff out.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of stuff that we need to add to it, which we have scanned, ready to go. It just takes time to put it all up there. our average customer is a typical customer of ours to do a restoration is 40 or 50, 60, 70 years old, has an old truck, has the money to do it, but doesn't have the technical skills. And our guys can help them with a lot of that stuff too. We have customers tell us that we are helping them build their dreams. So the website certainly helps us do that and brings us customers from every corner of the world. We have a map. We have maps with wherever we've sold parts to, and it still gets me excited.
Shelby, let me ask you a question. Have you ever gotten a chance to go visit any of these customers in any places outside of the United States or Canada? I'm making sure I'm clear that I do know where you guys are. But have you ever gotten an opportunity to travel outside of North America or south of the border? Or, do you have like anybody that you've gotten close to internationally who, you never would have believed at 9 I'd be talking to somebody from this country to help them get their truck dream come true?
We haven't had the chance yet, but we would love to go down and I would love to go down to Australia and see some of our customers, things like that. We've got a customer in Holland as well that we've helped out with restoration. So there is customers in, different countries that I would love to go see, but we have not had that opportunity yet. Got to spend some time, plan a trip.
Yeah, listen to me. I just got a chance to talk a couple of weeks ago with Trucking with CJ, and she is like one of the great spokespersons for both the New Zealand and Australian trucking industry. Given your love of adventure, I think you should get down to Australia sooner rather than later. Holland, by the way, is great, but it'll take you less than a day to drive through it. It's a really small place.
Yeah.
George, I wanted to ask you too about the importance of the ATHS, and we'll get back to your website in a second with oldinternationaltrucks.com. Talk to our listeners about why they should join the ATHS, why they should contribute to the ATHS, and what service and what value it actually has for people who actually are still out there driving trucks and being part of the culture of trucking.
Well, all the people in the industry today are making history. They don't think they're making history. They think it's just a job. But absolutely, they're making history every day. And the people in the ATHS are, trying to preserve that history and grow that history with other people, outside the industry. And it's to be able to have a conversation with like-minded people. It's pretty fun. I mean, our biggest when we get to go to the national show every year, we have lots of friends there. We converse back and forth about a lot of things, and it's just fun to be working or having a conversation with people that are thinking the same way you are. And whether it be a Kenworth or an International or an old Ford or whatever, everybody's on the same page of making things better. Whether you're a janitor or a corporate officer in a trucking company. Everybody gets treated pretty much the same way. It's really it's a leveling out of everybody's emotions, I guess, is probably the polite way to put it.
I think it's a great way to put it. And so Shelby, let me ask you. So you started this whole game at 9, and we've gotten your father's origin story. Talk about. Has this been a seamless blur? I mean, since you were 9 doing this with Dad, has this been kind of a seamless movement into where you are now? Or was there a moment where you had to actively choose that this is what I want to do? Or did you suddenly wake up one day and realize this is what I wanted to do and didn't even realize I wanted to do it? I'm just here doing it. You get the difference?
Yeah, I mean, the hobby part, the restoring of the truck stuff, that kind of happened just naturally. It was in the back garage, and so if I wanted to hang out with Dad, that's where you had to be, was go hang out in the garage. So that just happened naturally. That was our family vacations when we were kids. We would go away for a weekend. It was to a truck show. So that was pretty natural and normal. And then I started in the business when I was 16, so that was an active choice of coming to work here. It was not always easy being the boss's kid, but so I've actively had to choose to do this every day. But it's been fun, and we've had our ups and downs, and not always easy, but it's something I still really enjoy.
So, George, I pivot to you now on this, by the way. I want to ask you, was there a moment where you thought to yourself, probably both, oh, my God, I'm so proud that she's following in my footsteps, or was there a moment when you went, what have I done to my daughter? I just have to know.
Well, no, you actually, if you can share your life, your own dreams with your own family, that's, lots of people don't get a chance to do that. And, we actually work pretty good together. We try and stay out of each other's hair, out of each other's way. And we pick our battles that we're going to do separately and whatever. And then there's lots of stuff we have to work together with as well. So you gotta, make it work. It's no different than, it is a little different because of people, how she gets treated sometimes, but she manages fine.
That, by the way, is a really kind of good way of putting exactly what everybody that's listening knows what you're talking about. Shelby, okay, I'm going to start with you. We'll go to your dad, and then I got a joint question for you. Of all the things that you've worked on to restore, what has been the one that has been the biggest personal passion project for you, and why?
My own truck would be my biggest passion, I would say. Started it when I was 15, finished it in 9 months, and finished that when I was 16. So I got to drive it out on my own and get to drive that to school and things like that. So it was a little bit of, Dad didn't want to delay the project anymore. So there was a lot of convincing me to do it faster. It was our fastest restoration we've ever done. So 9 months is pretty quick.
And what is it? Tell people what it is.
It's a 1960 B100 International.
Oh, nicely done. Nicely done. And George, yourself?
Well, I have my father's last company, Travelall, which is pretty special to me. He had sold to a dealer buddy of his just south of us, and we ended up buying it back for about the same amount of money that Dad sold it to 40 years prior to. That's another whole story. But one of the ones that really draws a lot of attention is we have an RDF 230H, which has got a Rolls-Royce diesel in it.
Oh.
And it's, a big steel checker plate fender truck and 24-inch tires on it. It's pretty massive, but a Rolls-Royce diesel that works and runs and doesn't smoke is very rare. We used them for 4 years in Canada here, and they were pretty much junk, but this one's been rebuilt, obviously, and works fine. So it draws lots of attention.
All right, Shelby, I'm going to pivot back now. We've talked about the personal here. Let's talk a little bit about the public-facing side of it. Has there been ever a client where their joy, their delight in seeing what was finally kind of put together through you and your father's help, a particular moment of pride for you from a professional standpoint at completing a restoration or helping a client realize their dreams? I realize that's a big, big question, but is there any anecdotal moment of the client's delight made everything, even the hardest of work, worthwhile?
Oh, I mean, it happens all the time, which is nice, but it surprises us usually, right? Because Dad and I aren't the ones directly helping customers on the part side.
Of course.
I do a lot of the website stuff and preserving of the history part, but I don't always get to connect with the customers directly until we get to a national show. So it's always fun when you drive up the golf cart behind a truck and you see your mud flaps, and then you go out and talk to somebody and they tell you, oh, we got to talk to these great guys at oldinternationaltrucks.com and they helped us find everything, and we couldn't find stuff and we had no idea where to look, and they figured us out and all this stuff. And then you get to tell them that, we're the owners of oldinternationaltrucks.com, and that's a really full circle moment and fun. And it's, it's always somebody different and in a different position in life. And so that's always really nice.
George, is there a moment of professional pride, and we can do pre-Shelby and then with Shelby? Is there a particular moment of professional pride in the building of Old International Trucks?
Well, when you take it to a show where you have people come into our shop, the appreciation that they show is what gets me excited. People that aren't really truck people, aren't really interested in the industry, automotive industry even, get excited about the stuff. But I'll tell you one story. We were at Harvester Homecoming here 2 years ago, and a fellow knew that George from Old International Trucks was there, and he spotted us, and he come running across the parking lot, and he gives us a big hug. Thank you, guys. You got me all the parts I needed for my truck. Thank you. I said, hold it, stop. You got the wrong George, because we have a George that works in the antique parts business too. So I settled the guy down, and I said, yeah, I'll give George a big hug when I get home. And, it's just people are so appreciative of being able to find the parts they need, and it makes people happy. So, come on, you can't get much better than that.
No, you can't. By the way, guys, I'm going to encourage everybody listening when they have a chance. If they're off the road, you can do it now, guys. Go to oldinternationaltrucks.com. I would highly recommend guys going on the links at the top of the page, the menu, to just click on the Kirkham collection, which you'll see is the Kirkham International Motor Truck Collection. It started, by the way, back in the 1980s. They've got over 60 internationals in the collection, antiques. You can browse through the collection for inspiration for your next project, and you can also have links in there about downloading the collection by PDF. They give you a video tour of it. It goes all the way from a 1913 MW high wheeler and goes all the way up to, let me see here, go all the way down to a 1970 Scout 800A yellow, which, by the way, is a beautiful piece of work there. A lot of stuff that's really great. You can click on all of those and try to dive in depth and all that kind of stuff. Shelby talked about the idea of maintaining this website, and I was kind of curious. The idea people, my wife does websites as well, along with many other things she does, Shelby. It really is a diligent thing. I mean, can you kind of talk about what it takes to maintain a website like this to keep it both current and accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it starts offline for sure, right? Like, you got to scan everything in and make sure you're archiving it properly so that you can find it again, because we always get asked for copies of stuff. Guys are always reaching out for books or magazine articles, things like that. So you got to have it so it's easy to trace back to in your files and things like that. So getting all that stuff organized beforehand, and then uploading it, making sure that the website's staying updated, all those fun things. There's a lot of technical stuff on the background. It's not an overly complicated website by any means, but it just takes a lot of time and effort to get all that stuff up there, but it's all worth it.
Well, and by the way, it's not a complicated website. She's right about that. But what it is a thorough piece of research. It is a great. I want to give you props where they're due. I mean, you're kind of underselling yourself. The simplicity of the website itself is made for better access for people to understand what they're looking at. It's easily navigable. That being said, it is also comprehensive and growing by the minute. Okay, we got just a little bit of time left here. And George, we talked a bit about the ATHS. Talk about your duties with them, some of your responsibilities, and then we'll get to Shelby, who, by the way, is the first female member of the board in 10 years, in a decade. We'll get to that in a second. George, talk about what your responsibilities are over there and how you help out.
Well, we try to sell memberships to keep the growth, because it's always an attrition. People, get older, die, whatever, and leave the club because of other things. But we do an open house every January and through the day, and like the last couple of years we've had close to 1,000 people through there and through the museum, and then we do a club supper that night, and so we have a bit of a meeting, and we'll have the Alberta chapter members in for that. You got to be a chapter member to get in on the supper part of it, and just to try and promote the values of the ATHS, which is, preserve history, and doesn't matter in what part of the trucking industry, it's all good stuff to be preserved.
Preservation, of course, is the key. So it's kind of ironic that you guys, not ironic at all. It's kind of perfect that you would gravitate towards an organization like this, Shelby. As a younger member of the organization, and of course, I've talked to the people who run the whole enchilada. It really is important to get younger people kind of enthusiastic about this stuff, because in many ways, even though restoration is about taking the old and making it new again, the skills that are required to do restoration are actually going to be the most invaluable skills of the 21st century. A lot of people, are going back to trade schools. A lot of people are, understanding not just the value, but the earning potential of what it means to actually have the skill set that you possess to a large degree. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys are reaching out to younger people? You said 50, 60, 70 are the age numbers that a lot of these men in particular. How do we get younger people and women as well more involved in this kind of work and in this kind of research?
I think it's visibility and stuff too, right? Like people always want to be a part of a club where they see where they belong and things like that too. So if you see a club of a bunch of old guys and there's nobody young involved, it's not always as attractive to join, but we're trying to make the younger crowd a little bit more visible within ATHS. One way we're doing that is Peter Wild and I have started a sub group within called, oh no, I'm forgetting the name now.
I can't remember either.
Anyways, there's a bunch of us younger members that are starting a group together to encourage younger members to join and participate, have a voice within ATHS where, it's outside of the board so that they can have a voice while not having to be on the board. So that's been really fun and a way of doing that, but also just having us younger members being involved and visible to the public, out helping out at the shows, being involved on the social medias, things like that. I think that's all really important. The group is called Next Gen that we've started. So just doing stuff like that where we can be visible. I really appreciate Marty bringing me onto the board so I could, voice my opinion on there. There's a handful of us that are on the younger side there. So that's all been really fun. And, trying to connect the older guys with the younger people so that they can transfer their knowledge down a generation or two and keep the hobby going.
I got to tell you, by the way, I've been looking, there's a lot of really cool stuff. I was looking at the 1979 1724 Fire Truck Yellow, but I was also looking at the Scout Traveler from 79 and the Travelall 150 from 75, and I got to tell you, it just feels like I stepped through a Wayback Machine in kind of, re-entering the world. And one of the great things about restorations and one of the great things about seeing these old models is that sometimes when you want to go back to the past but don't want to deal with, as I say, the cigarette smoke and the smog, sometimes an old piece of machinery properly restored can get you back to the best parts of those places. Guys, we're out of time. I want to remind people that the ATHS are responsible for our good friends being here today, George and Shelby Kirkham. And guys, please go to oldinternationaltrucks.com. Shelby, if you would like, you can write me at weekends@radionemo.com and give me any of the information for anybody who is interested in joining or being a part of Next Gen or ATHS. I'll take care of it. I'll get it up on the air. We love having you guys on. You got a good weekend planned, George?
I got to go buy a new dog tomorrow. We put our St. Bernard down a couple of weeks ago, or 2 months ago. So we're going out for a little Cocker Spaniel at 8 tomorrow. We've got it picked out already.
What was your St. Bernard's name?
That'll be a lot of fun. Sorry?
What was your St. Bernard's name?
Peaches.
Well, Peaches is missed, even by those of us who didn't know Peaches. We are sad that Peaches is gone, and we are excited. Shelby, do me a favor. If you could hold off until you get the new dog and give me the new name so I can announce that on the air, too, I would be thrilled to do that. Okay?
We've already dealt the new name. His name's going to be Rusty.
Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. George, Shelby, you both are welcome back anytime. Go have the best weekends. I hope it is spent together. I hope it is spent restoring. If not, I hope it's a great time. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, the ATHS has made this segment possible. ATHS.org, by the way, is a great website. And by the way, speaking of great websites, guys, spend a little time on oldinternationaltrucks.com. This is really groovy stuff. It looks like the world of Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express. A lot of great stuff there. They got a Scout 2 go-kart, by the way. Just some fantastic stuff here. oldinternationaltrucks.com. This is Road Gang Radio.